You probably find yourself procrastinating until the opportunity passes, and then you beat yourself up for not following through. You talk yourself out of speaking up, and then after that you get resentful that nobody really hears you out. You tell yourself that you're going to change, and once things stop moving or they get uncertain, you go right back to your old habits. Our brains tend to prefer a predictable hell over an unpredictable heaven, and this is your brain's way of protecting you by keeping things the same. We gravitate towards the things that we find familiar, and this doesn't matter if it hurts us, if it's not good for us, if it doesn't align with our goals. We just have a habitual tendency to gravitate towards them. And when we try to change, or perhaps we're making steady progress, we tend to procrastinate. We start feeling anxious for being productive. It makes no fucking sense to us. Maybe we get an opportunity we're waiting for, something that we've been setting ourselves up for, and then we start to feel a suffocating amount of discomfort, anxiety, resentment. We start to rationalize why we shouldn't take that opportunity. And then when we let it go, we hate ourselves for it. We let it sit and fester and tear ourselves apart. Spider. Whoa, what the hell? I'm familiar with a lot of teenagers and young adults who are almost addicted to emotional chaos. Even when things are getting better for them, they decide to make a ridiculous choice that makes no sense, and they've rationalized themselves to do it just so it could bring them back to that emotional chaos that they're familiar with. And maybe you grew up with that chaos, that unpredictability. Maybe your parents were extremely emotionally volatile. Maybe you learned to seek for reassurance because you can't trust yourself. Maybe you learned to consider others' needs before your own. Dr. Tima Bryant says that if you grew up walking on eggshells, peace will feel like boredom. If you grew up in chaos, calm will feel like a threat. When you've made good decisions that helped you make some progress and change, you're hilariously more uncomfortable with that than you are with emotional chaos. And what do? You start to sabotage the progress that you've made. I know someone who was in juvenile, basically a prison for younger people, and she tolerated it for many months, and she had 1.5 months left to serve. And she was given a package for good behavior to be able to continue her studies, and so she was let out. Things were going amazing, things were going well, but she decided to go on the run just because she was addicted to the emotional chaos that came with trouble. Let's talk about procrastination. Procrastination often stems from a fear of failure or perfectionism. Alfred Adler, our favorite neurologist, would suggest that procrastination is because you actually would rather prefer to stay in the safety of not doing anything so that you don't have to risk failure or rejection. Your brain will tend to avoid the tasks that trigger anxiety, self-doubt, or vulnerability, and that avoidance just reinforces the pattern. If you continue to allow those feelings to stop you from doing something, then you're basically telling your brain it is right to feel that way. Dr. Nicole LePera, the author of How to Do the Work, absolute phenomenal book, gives us 4 steps to deal with this. First is to name the feeling. Really sit down and think, why do I procrastinate? Is it because I'm afraid of failing? Is it because I'm afraid of this? Is it because I want to sabotage myself? Is it because things are actually going well and I'm not familiar with that? It's uncomfortable and I want things to be all over the place because I'm addicted to that. Name the emotion. Second, if the task is almost insurmountable, you want to start small. You want to break it down. A study from the Journal of Behavioral Medicine 2019 showed that people who broke their goals into smaller, more specific actions were significantly more likely to follow through than those who set vague, large goals. So start with one small action. If you're afraid of people, start with greeting, start with eye contact. If you struggle to meditate for 1 second. Work out for 2 minutes. Working out 2 minutes a day is surprisingly significantly better than not working out at all, right? So start small, let the momentum build. And sure, you might beat yourself up for being a pussy and settling with such a little amount of things done. Alright, but at least make sure that that little amount of things done is done. Right? Then we can start pushing ourselves to stop being a pussy and doing more things. Third is to regulate your nervous system. Dr. LePera emphasizes that procrastination is linked to an overactive nervous system, one that is constantly reacting to stress. And to manage it, we need to calm our nervous system first. LePera says that our ability to make better decisions is directly linked to how well we regulate our nervous system. So look into how to boost your serotonin. And let me tell you something. The most important thing to boost your serotonin is to fix your gut. Your gut is responsible for 90% of serotonin production. Your probiotics, your prebiotics, what you're putting in your mouth, how much processed foods are you consuming, your sugar intake, whether you're consuming seed oils, vegetable oils, make sure you're getting saturated fats, make sure you're eating a decently balanced diet that is clean, make sure you're sleeping well, your circadian rhythm is intact, you're training decently hard and you're eating a lot of fruit. These things are wonderful for your gut, and when you prime your gut to produce more serotonin, You'll be able to regulate your mood better. You'll be able to be more productive. Your hormone balance is so much better. You're gonna be happier, healthier, feel better. It's gonna be absolutely beautiful. Besides that, you can try plenty of strange wizard shit like grounding, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, or even go for a short walk. When your body is taken care of and it feels more calm, your mind can think more clearly, and then the task becomes less intimidating. Lastly, number 4 is to build accountability. Write something on your wall. Track your progress. Create a to-do list for the day. Have people that you can check in on and they can check in on you, and you can challenge one another to make progress, and you can create this reward feedback loop from them being happy with the progress you've made and you being happy with the progress they've made. Now this is incredibly hard to find, but if you have the friends that are willing to do this with you, that is absolutely amazing. It is super powerful. But you can hella do it yourself too. What this does is, again, it creates a reward feedback loop, and if you have habits that help you create that feedback loop every single day, it will keep you motivated. It gives you stimulus, it gives you excitement, it makes you feel purposeful. And how hard we want to work at something is often proportionate to how much reward we get from doing that thing. Like, realistically, most of us can play video games 25 hours a day. And why can we do that? It doesn't require a shit ton of discipline, right? But the rewards are so apparent, so quick, that it's just like, why not play video games 25 hours a day? Now, if the work that you find meaningful has reward loops as instantaneous, as wonderful, as impactful as how the video games meticulously designed it, you would be addicted to working as well. And of course, no matter how hard we design it, it's never gonna match how fun cyberpunk is. So if we are doing something very important, we try to strip away as much of the sources of rewards that we get, so that the rewards of our work becomes so much more apparent and significant. So we're talking reducing doom scrolling or completely removing it. Because if you know me, I fucking hate doom scrolling. I know there's plenty of hilarious racist jokes out there and homophobic jokes out there. Absolutely hilarious. Not that I am actually racist or homophobe, but I find them absolutely hilarious, alright? All the downy stuff. But they are so fucking funny, right? That they take away from the rewards of the work that we find meaningful, so we're gonna have to strip them away. And you don't have to be afraid of missing out. The most funny and the most important short form content will find its own way to us through our friends, one way or the other. Just strip away all the pointless stimulus, and then your work will become remarkably fun. You'll be excited to work out, you'll be excited to make progress, wake up early, eat the good foods, look better day to day, because those rewards to you are just absolutely magnificent. Next, let's talk about making bad decisions on purpose. I kind of already covered this with the emotional chaos stuff, but let me dive a bit more into it, alright? The brain loves predictability more than happiness. In a 2012 study published by Psychological Science, people with high anxiety were more likely to choose negative but predictable outcomes than uncertain ones. Because we know exactly how some bad decisions end, even though we know the consequences, we know it is terrible for us, we love the familiarity of knowing exactly what will happen. And if we are placed with a choice of making a good or bad decision, knowing what the bad decision is, but not knowing what will happen if we pick the perceivingly good decision that we can only rationalize would be better for us, sometimes we just pick the bad decision anyway. So how can we finally get rid of this redundant, autistic, self-sabotaging pattern? First, become aware. Those decisions you remember you made, even though they were bad, those times you procrastinated, those times that it felt anxious and uncomfortable doing the right thing, start rationalizing with yourself. Why did I do that? Start pinpointing the reasons you did that. Oh, remember that time I did that? That must have been because I was addicted to the familiarity. I wanted the emotional chaos. I wanted to sabotage my own progress because it was uncomfortable making change, or something like that. You catch those moments. And then the next time you feel those same emotions again, the chances of you catching that and realizing, hey wait, I'm sabotaging my change again. Do I want this change bad enough? If I do, let's resist this, and then let's make the right choice. The right and uncomfortable and uncertain and anxiety-inducing choice. Let's do this. You got this. And you kind of talk yourself into it, and you're able to block out the pointless, redundant thoughts. And you've realized that the anxiety and the discomfort you feel slowly fades away the more times you choose to make the right choice, because that means you're changing. That's evidence of growth. Next is to get uncomfortable on purpose. Once you're able to catch your thought patterns, you understand yourself more, you understand why you feel this way more. Seek out those difficult choices even when they feel uncomfortably overwhelming. And you don't have to make those choices. Sit in that discomfort and know that this is what change feels like. Become comfortable with it. You don't need to beat yourself up if you don't get it done. but you want to sit in that discomfort. Maybe you feel anxiousness, you feel fear, maybe some anger, resentment, frustration. Let it fester, let it eat you alive. And if you're able to sit in the discomfort and then make the right choice anyway, that's where change happens. Those are the reps you're looking for. You should be exposed to a significant amount of discomfort daily. If not, nothing is changing. Finally, be kind to yourself. You know what this discomfort is? You don't want to beat the shit out of yourself to the point where you burn out again, and then after that you revert back to self-sabotaging habits. What I struggle with the most when facing discomfort is reminding myself how much of a pussy I am to feel so anxious and uncomfortable when I'm trying to change. And then I let myself try to motivate myself in this kind of overbearing amount of tough love. Like I would remind myself how useless I am, how ridiculous it is that I have to be so kind to myself like I'm a pathetic little boy. I still struggle with this, but we have to be a little bit more patient with ourselves, because burning out and going back into a cycle of self-sabotaging again is going to sabotage all of our progress that we've made, and that repeats the pattern that we're trying to change. Have a good support system, have friends that you can talk to. It is not easy, it really isn't. And the hardest part is talking about these things without feeling like a burden. At the same time, we have to think about it like this. We have to trust our friends, because how can we take away their chance to show us their honor, their loyalty? Being open and vulnerable and talking to a friend about the things you're struggling with is crucial to deepening connection. And even if they decide to reject you, and they stray away from you because you're weird, so be it. But if you're constantly emotionally dumping, then there is something fundamentally wrong with yourself, and you should be working every single day to get rid of that. Be kind to yourself, speak to yourself in a kind of steady way. You know why the discomfort is here, you know what you have to do. You know it's going to take time. Keep priming yourself to chase discomfort the next day. Find those moments of discomfort, sit in that feeling, love that feeling, like a sadist, a masochist. Get sexual pleasure from discomfort. The more discomfort you can tolerate, the more power you have over your own life. I love you. You got this. Good luck. Till better work.